I'm always looking to do more collaborations and such with other people. So when Spectrally messaged me to ask about a collab and this got suggested, I jumped at the chance. The premise is simple. We will take his have you heard of format and both of us make a video. Him making a video based on a game I recommended and me making a video based on a game that he recommended. Simple, right? Well, let's get into it. The game that he chose for me is Parasite Eve, a 1998 action role-playing horror game for the PlayStation 1. Before he suggested this, I had never even heard of it, but when I found out it was made by Squaresoft, that got my attention. After all, these are the people who later went on to release Final Fantasy VII, 8 and 9, key parts of my childhood gaming experiences, and I had a feeling I was really going to enjoy this when I found out about it, and especially after watching the pre-game cinematic. I jumped straight into it, and we're introduced to our character as she's getting out of the car, and she is Anya Brea? I don't know. A member of the NYPD who is going out with the blandest white guy possible for a night at the opera. We learn the controls are the D-pad to run around, circle to run instead of walking, and we will be holding our circle the entire time because walking is at the speed of a decrepit 200-year-old tortoise and square is to use. Yeah, you heard that right. The action button is square. Square. Fucking square. What? Okay. Range aside from the ridiculous 90s controls, we head into the opera, and can I just take a moment to praise the graphics of the CGI cutscenes? Squaresoft were always so ahead of their time, and I can remember the Final Fantasy cutscene just blowing my mind as a kid, and honestly, this holds up even today in 2021. Just beautiful. Anyway, everyone is now spontaneously combusting, as they do, and we're at the cutscene with our whiter than white bread boyfriend being completely useless. I guess it's our job to be the badass. Heading up onto the stage to confront the booby lady that seems to be making everyone catch on fire, don't ask, leads us to our first battle of the game. We have a health bar, an action bar and a PE bar, with our health being obviously health, the PE bar being used for abilities and the action bar for attacks. Basically when that's full we can attack. Our attacks are ranged, specifically a pistol, and we only have a limited amount of ammo, although we can swap to a melee weapon when we run out. We need to run around to dodge her attacks while firing back when we can. After a brief flashback that seemed to make no sense and her just vanishing, we proceed to get lost and confused before eventually finding our way to a massive hole. Logically, it seems that this is how she escaped, so we jump down and we once again see the little girl that was in the flashback. She vanishes again though, and we proceed to a corridor. Naturally, being a corridor, there's lots of doors, and while I don't know this game, I do know Final Fantasy, and I know there's lots of hidden items tucked into corners, so I start looking around. Doing that triggered another cutscene where we see a rat which mutates and transforms into some kind of big monster. This gives us our first fight that isn't a boss battle, and I actually run out of ammo doing this fight. This is the point I learn I can switch my weapon to a baton and just beat the shit out of him, so I did, and then we kept up with the exploring. There's more victims here and free shit in the locker, which I naturally take. We also find a clown and don't shoot him, which seems like a weird decision to me. Continuing to head up, we find a room with a phone in it, and it seems that landlines are the way we save. It feels so weird, a game relying on landlines, and I have to remind myself that this is from 1998 and there's no way she could have gotten a brick phone in the dress. I'm not even sure where the gun came from, and I'm not sure I want to know either. Anyway, after we left the room, and I missed the key. There is a key here and I missed it. It's on the body. I didn't check the body. Yeah. My bad. Although, to be fair, the game doesn't really explain what you need to do there. Anyway, after running around some more, I find myself outside and with guns aimed at me, and the situation is quickly diffused. But this outside bit feels a bit useless, except for one of the guys giving me some more bullets. After a few more minutes of impersonating a headless chicken, I finally give up and check a guide and find out about that goddamn key. I would have struggled if I hadn't checked the guide, but we got it and we head into the room where we find the diary of Madame Booby Lady that we were fighting earlier. Whatever this is that's turning her into this, it seems to have been happening for a while. That room gives us another key, which lets us go through the big double doors and we find Eve in there playing a piano. Cue another cutscene where she transforms and becomes significantly less attractive and significantly more monstery. This battle is harder, with her shooting multiple beams at us and we need to heal a lot more, but we kicked her ass once and now we've kicked it again. Another flashback follows with the same little girl and then Eve vanishes. But don't worry, there's another hole we can jump into. Throwing all caution into the wind, we keep going down and find ourselves in the sewers. Well, this stress is ruined now. The enemies are getting a bit harder now, with 3 enemies thrown at us per battle, and also the appearance of this weird licky frog type enemy. Furthermore, he seemed to only be attackable from the front. I think you have to shoot him in the mouth, which I didn't figure out at first, but when I eventually do, I push forward, I meet the little girl again, but still no explanation on who she is. Moving on, we find a switch that is also a phone, don't ask, and we save, before moving on to find Eve again. This time she doesn't fight us, but super mutates a rat to kick my ass, and this is as far as I got. I was only going to play the first hour anyway, so I gave this rat a couple of attempts, but it kicked my ass. As far as I can tell, we need to shoot the tail to do the damage. But I ran out of ammo long before I killed it, and hitting it was nothing. I mean, how are we meant to beat this thing? I genuinely have no clue. Anyway, so, Parasite Eve. How did I feel about it? Honestly, from what I played, I loved it. Some of my favourite games of all times were the PS1 3D Final Fantasy games. And while this is clearly a different game, it's got a similar feel to it. The graphics remind me of Final Fantasy VIII, and the cutscenes are as strong as they were back then. I feel like maybe this is a little weaker than the Final Fantasy, but not by much. I found the combat system to be quite interesting. I found the bosses and the enemies to be an interesting challenge. I might criticise the sound design a little bit. There were some moments that were silent that didn't really feel good, especially after the opera singing. We go from that to just silence, which felt a little weird. But all in all, I'm having to nitpick to find problems. I can't really give a definitive review on the game, having only played the first hour, but I had fun. The story stuck to me in almost immediately, and I really do want to return to this game and play more to beat that rat bastard and continue on. This was introduced to me as a forgotten gem of the 90s, and yeah, after playing an hour of this, it feels like that, and I really do want to give it more of a go. I think if anybody is looking for a new 90s style RPG to play, give this one a go. You won't regret it. So, that was Parasite Eve, and what do you all think? Let me know in those important comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you do enjoy these kind of videos, be sure to check out Spectrum Lee's channel, as he is a master of this kind of content. Also, be sure to check out the game I recommend to him, as it's one of my favourite RPGs ever, and I think you'll all enjoy it. Go watch it. Now! Take care everyone.